the big difference with the West and the East, because we all have the Western mind state, right? Grew up with Christianity, whether we are Christian or not, and exoteric teachings. Exoteric is the provisional teachings, it's the teachings that everyone gets, and it's very dualistic. What's dualistic? I, me, you know, it's all about me, even from like a spiritual standpoint. The ego is very strong in the West. So that's why I feel like sometimes some of this Eastern stuff doesn't work because it's a different state of mind, you know? So, on that note, even though this is contrary to what I was going to say, I think people need to have a healthy ego before they can get rid of the ego. Well, I don't want to say get rid of the ego, before they tame the ego. We need to have a balanced, healthy ego before we can tame the ego. Because the East is the exact opposite. I mean, from the ancient uh, mystical perspective, Buddhism, Taoism, um, Advaita Vedanta in India, Sufism, it's the exact opposite. It's about less I, as less I as possible. Because the I is the problem. Yeah, we have too much ego. And what does ego mean, by the way? Self-identity. And self-identity is not just arrogance, it's not just anger and other quote unquote bad qualities that we talk about. It's also insecurity. In fact, arrogance and insecurity are just two sides of the same coin. Pride, we're all about pride, right? Pride for your country, pride for your family, and pride for, I did a good job. I. And so we need to tame that. I mean, if you want to have a healthy life, if you want to you want to suffer less, you need to just tame the ego. So keep that in mind. A lot of arrogant people are actually insecure, right? So a lot of people that are insecure, that's actually a lot of ego, even though I don't want to kick people when they're down, but that's just the truth. So it's important to know that, because people that are arrogant, we think of, oh, that's bad. But people that are insecure, we almost cater to them or enable them, like, oh, like, it's okay, you're strong or whatnot. Victim mentality. Victimhood is a huge problem. It's always been a problem, but it's much more of a problem now. People are almost applauded to be a victim now. You're so brave for being a victim. Like, no. And especially from this perspective. And just, I'll tell you, I mean, how has it been going so far? How do you feel psychologically with all this ego, even if it's insecurity or sadness? If you have a lot of insecurity and a lot of sadness, that's a lot of ego. You know, I know that's a little bit of a jab because you're not used to that. No one's probably told you that. We're taught to either feel sorry for people that have a lot of insecurity or sadness, or even enable them. So that's why you have a problem. Too much ego. Too much me. Woe is me is self-centered. When I say self-centered, right? Self. I feel so bad. My life sucks. I feel insecure. I feel this. This. Why did you do that to me? Why is my life like this, right? So how do we get out of this? We have to not play the game to begin with. You have to cut off as much as possible, cut off the ego attachment and having so much ego. A little bit of ego is great, it's fine, but just we have too much, especially in the West. And the East and everyone else is following the West, so that is and going to be more so a problem for them too. But okay, like some person in a tribe in the jungle, I'll bet you they're much better off. They'll be much better at meditating than any civilized person, any modern person. So this is a huge paradigm shift. So, and very important if you want to take the path of meditation or Eastern practices like yoga. If you really are practicing yoga, and yoga, whether it's asana, which is the the doing the movements and the body stuff, or anything else, yoga is about your mind. Actually, yoga is about taming the waves of the mind, calming the waves of the mind. That's what Patanjali said in like the very beginning of his Yoga Sutras. But nowadays, yoga is this movement that you do, and it's all about looking sexy and adding your ego, adding ego. So ego is very much very sneaky. Even with Buddhists, but so many Buddhists have ego about being Buddhist, and that's how sneaky the ego is. It always wants to validate its existence. So the only way to get out of this again is to try to cut off some of this attachment to existing. It always wants to validate its existence, and feeling bad is validating its existence. You get it? Insecurity is validating its existence. I feel bad. Oh, therefore I exist. So that's why ego is always wants to be there and always wants to grow. And when you're letting go of ego, it wants to grow, it holds on to dear life. It's clawing and scratching to try to stay strong inside your mind. So when you're taming the ego, it's going to even work harder to be there. So keep that in mind. So I am the shit. I am so cool. We understand that as ego, as an egotism, egotistical. But I feel bad is just as much of an ego. The only thing you can do is not play the game. Just think of the difference between open space and a very crowded like, okay, let's say a picture of the sky, okay? Now compare, let's say that picture of the sky had a bunch of buildings in it. It's still open space, but it's open space with buildings on top of the open space. You see what I'm saying? So open space always exists, and that's your true state. That's your true mind. Your in Zen Buddhism, they say the big mind. Okay, open space is there before things are there, right? There's open space here, right? But then if I put my hand there, okay, there's open space in between, right? In between, right? What if I do that? There's still open space in my fist, but now it's covered over with things. So that's the same exact thing with your ego. Your real mind is the big open mind. It's the divine mind. It's just vast, it's open, it's like the clear sky. But we put things in that mind, and that's the little mind, it's the ego. I am thinking something, and so it's putting something inside of there. I feel bad. I feel good. I am cool. I am not cool. Look at that thing. This is what I think of this. This is called a red. That's a label, right? I am a human. That's a label. I am this. So that is that. You are bad. You suck. I am better than you. My group is better than your group, see? So this is why I tell you to turn off the news, turn off all modern thinking, all of that stuff. It's even more ego. It's getting into, I mean, we have so much ego already, and now the new thinking is much more ego. Victimhood slash tribalism. My group is better than your group. Democrats are better than Republicans. Republicans are better than Democrats. Women are better than men. Men are better than women. This is just nothing but psychological chaos. It's just psychological suffering. It's not going to ever get better. No matter, I can never improve. In fact, they say you don't even want to change. You don't even want to think of it as saying, I'm changing. I am changing. You know, I change. You don't change. You just don't even exist as far as this practice is concerned. You're taming that. You're taming all of that. Peace.